and we'll jump into it.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Gabby, first time that we're doing these jam sessions. It's a good way to highlight what our clients are up to, what you've been doing since you started. Relatively new to the Influencer Project. So I'm going to get started for me. Who are you? Introduce yourself, and what industry do you work with? What do you do?
We work with corporates, organisations and executive leaders to help their people build a success culture. So a success culture through team intelligence, something that we put together through some special programs and through executive alignment. And all about culture, but also skill development.
Okay, give me an idea of what your offer looks like just from a timing perspective. Do you roll them through different types of programs, and how long do you usually have them for?
Yeah, so we have a jigsaw puzzle, and if they can come in anywhere through that jigsaw puzzle around building their success culture. So one of the things that we see that they like to do is they like to get a strategic edge, and then an executive edge, and then a senior leadership edge, and it keeps going around. There's 6 different steps. So depending on where they come in, we usually have them for 6 to 12 months.
Okay, that's awesome. So, and it sounds pretty similar to something that we have with the triangle. It's almost like you've got your own little framework.
Yes, so that's our solution framework. Yep. We have another framework around our culture framework and where the pain problems are. So we've got two other models that we've used, and I have to say that that's probably been having a model or having 2 or 3 models has really changed the way that people engage with us. It makes a lot more sense to people.
Okay. And you've been in business for about 10, 15 years, give or take. What got you to this point where you went, hey, the Influencer Project, this is what I need to do now? What was the challenge, and what was your goal coming on board?
So, yeah, really good question. So I have spent the last probably 15 years, we've been quite successful in that we've had all of our businesses come through referral, but also the downside of that has been all of our businesses come through referral, and we've been constantly chasing referrals rather than having this attitude where it's kind of next. We need a next attitude instead of a, oh my God, when's the next dollar coming in? And so I've done sales and all of that sort of stuff. I just needed a process where I was following a bouncy ball. And I have known for the last probably 2 years that LinkedIn is where my sales are. I just didn't know how to engage it properly.
Yeah, okay. It's quite a common dilemma. Everyone goes, I know my clients are here in LinkedIn. They're not a Facebook. They're not an Instagram. It's just like, how the hell do you use LinkedIn? What do I do to tap into it? So you got started. Then what happened? What are the results you've had so far? Because it was a bit of a whirlwind for you as soon as you started. It was like you started and then there was a win. I was like, whoa, what happened? What did you do?
Okay. So I think Andrew had me on a really, what felt like a really hard process. And I was on 60 connections per day to get leads. So lead generators, and you're going to have to help me through this with your terminology.
That's all right. Lead messages.
The lead messages.
Yep, for everyone following at home.
Yeah. And we got really good conversion at about 8 or 9%.
Yeah, great.
And still haven't finished with that at all, but we're now on to the next process. But during that first week of the leads, of the sprint, whatever you call it,
21-day sprint. That's what we're talking about here, guys. Is that Gabby came on the 21-day sprint, just to clear that up. So 60 lead messages going out a day, and during that,
what happened was that we got a lead that I have to say probably wasn't from the campaign, but there were 2 things that did come from the campaign. Was I increased my videos that went up, and I jumped in on the pod as well, which was crazy because I felt too busy, but I did it anyway. Yep. And I think that the pod helped with putting content up. So what helped was I became much more visible again to this potential client, and my mindset shifted. So I did the training. I did module 9, I think it was.
Okay. Was that the qualification?
Yes, the qualification course. So when the lead came in, I had completely different mindset, and normally what would take months and months to close, I closed it, like we had the inquiry at 10 in the morning, a proposal out after a really good qualification session, really good, probably the best I've ever done, based on that training, which was really good. And then had a proposal out at 2 p.m. that day, and we had a yes the next day at 10 a.m.
Wow.
Which for me is unheard of for a large corporate.
That's awesome. 2 things. How long was your sales cycle on average before that? And what was that sale worth to you?
So generally the sales cycle is, up to 18 months.
Wow.
So we have a really long sales cycle. So we might meet them, and if they're not ready, then it's not really, they're not part of the sales cycle.
Yep.
But if they have to get qualification along the way, then it can take months and months. So anywhere between 3 and 4 months, certainly not less than 24 hours.
And that's what happened, right? You 24 hours? And that's out of control. And what was that one worth to you?
That's $33,000, and just yesterday they've come back to us even more desperate for our assistance, and we put in another $6,000 proposal. So we should find out today or Monday.
Wow. That's a bit of a whirlwind to come from where you are to here, for 3 to 4 months on at the smaller end, and 18 months at the higher end that's a huge mindset shift to go, oh wow, maybe we've been thinking about it all wrong, or just that shift in mindset sort of gives you a really good perspective on what could be possible. Sort of changes the story and the frame for your business, right? Yeah,
look, and we do a lot of work on mindset, so it feels unusual that that's something that I had a negative mindset of.
Yeah.
And so it's really quite fascinating how you just don't even realize what you're stuck on until somebody tells you.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I was stuck.
So yeah, that's probably the kicker, right? Is that you don't think you're stuck. You think you're doing something right, but maybe it's them. Yeah. Which actually leads into my next question really well, which is, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give to everyone in the Icon Group watching this?
So get somebody to question your mindset. Get them to ask about that all the time. What are you thinking, and why are you thinking that? So those sorts of questions, like what is your sales cycle, and why is that sales cycle like that? So that was a really good thing for me to address. And then the other thing is action.
Yeah.
Just do the work. So I'm hashtag a little bit competitive. So when
I hadn't noticed.
When Andrew said, oh, you've got to do these 60 and then you've got to do another 60 in week 2. I thought, I am not failing this anyway. And I was staying up till midnight or whatever, just doing it. But it's certainly the rewards were there, because we've got 150 leads just from our 21-day sprint.
How long is that? A full 21 days so far, or has it been less, a little bit more?
No, we did 21 days. We've got 150 leads in those 21 days. We might have a few more coming in now, but we're not focusing on getting leads. We're just focusing on trying to follow those guys up.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And then we're just doing connections now, just so that we can learn the process that you're teaching us.
Yeah, right. So there's 150 leads sitting there. You've closed that one deal, but you've also got a fair bit of opportunity. I mean, you even mentioned one to me this morning. You had in how much opportunity you got on the table at the moment?
We probably got about, I think about another 60K just this week.
Yeah, okay.
In opportunity. So this is where our lead cycle comes in a little bit, because we have to get the CEO or the HRD to sign off, and that's where things get tricky for us, because we're not a 1-2 close generally. We have to get 3 or 4 people to sign off, and
Okay.
there's lots of divisions. So this is where that cycle comes in. That's not to say that it's going to go to 18 months. If it's 18 months, they're not part of our, they're not a lead, or they're a lead, but they're not part of our sales cycle. We're just going to push them aside and just focus on the people that we can close within the next 3 months.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So those 3 points, well, there's 2 points, which is your mindset. So check that regularly, and also just take the action. So follow the numbers, take the action. It's all about the process that you take to get there. So it's the actions you take. It's not the goal that you're going for. The actions will breed the goal. Yeah,
absolutely. I didn't want this to be a failure in any way. And so I really wanted it to work. And so it was just about how are we going to do this. And if somebody else has already done it, we're just going to follow the bouncy ball. I said that from the very beginning. Well, I want the bouncy ball. Yeah. Tell me what to write. We'll write it. And it's completely different. So that was another thing. I've got my team working with me, and we're like, oh, we don't like that message, the way that Andrew phrased it.
Yep.
Anyway, boom, we don't care that we don't like it. We're doing it, and it's getting the
wow. Yeah, it's not about you, is it? It's about the person who's actually reading it.
Yeah.
Unreal. All right, last question. In one word, how would you describe the Influencer Project process to date? In one word.
I don't know if you want to hear this.
Get going. Say it. That's fine.
It's been overwhelming, I have to say. So overwhelming, but overwhelming good and overwhelming bad, in that it's been a lot of work. And if you don't have good systems and processes, which I don't, I'm not a process or a system follower, and it didn't help that my EA has been away. So for 3.5 weeks, she's finally back. So she'll clean up the back end for me. But if you don't have a process up front early, or you're not a process follower, then I highly recommend that you get that sorted.
Yep.
I wish I'd done something a bit differently at the beginning.
Yeah.
But then overwhelmed by the opportunity. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
It's awesome. You've gone from referral and chasing to now having all these people come to you.
Oh yeah, I can see just in the leads alone, just in the people that I've spoken to already, I can see at least, I don't even want to say it, but we can see it, $400,000 or $500,000 potential already. But anyway, I don't want to
astonishing. Hey, we're going to leave it there. I really appreciate everything that you've gone through, and I understand that that putting it in place to start with, it's brand new, and sticking to the process and just following the system the way it was designed, which is what you've done. Now it's time to smooth out the back end of your process and make it a part of your business.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. Hey, really appreciate your time today, Gabby. Thanks very much, and have a great day.
Thank you. You too.